More.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for being here. Typical line of questioning. Someone's a little obsessed with one guy. That's interesting. It's every hearing now. So thank you so much for being here. I did want to, just for the committee, highlight a program that I stood up in the state of West Virginia. It's called the Hope Scholarship Program when I was state treasurer of West Virginia. It was actually one of the most expansive ESA programs in the country. We offered our per pupil student funding formula, state money obviously, to children that decided to leave the public education system. And this has been a tremendous win for the state of West Virginia. They can either choose homeschool or they could choose some private school institution. And we have seen, just since I started that program in 2021, our academic achievement in our test scores have increased by 3%. So a state like West Virginia, that's a really big deal. Now, our state, my state of West Virginia, we are one of the poorest states in the country. So we receive per capita more federal funding than most of the states. Compared to, say, like a wealthy state like Connecticut or New Jersey or Massachusetts, they're not receiving the same type of money that we are because we struggle in this. Now, that said, we spend more per capita on our kids, on education, than most states in America. And it's been a failure. And ever since the Department of Education has been instituted, we've seen academic achievement just plummet. Year after year, every year, it gets worse. Now, one of my questions for you is, as you talk about national school choice, which I am a huge advocate for, how would you see the states being able to access those federal dollars? For example, the Hope Scholarship Program, which is obviously a law at the state level. How could we pull down those federal dollars to have those students that have elected for school choice to be able to have access to those as you start to, God willing, wind down this department and return education to its rightful position back to the states?
Well, thank you very much. And I certainly agree that states should have the opportunity to do that. What we are looking at more, and as we discussed a little bit before, in winding down some of the programs and doing block granting to governors of states to take a look at some of the programs that they need to fund. And I have talked to so many governors who have said that they would welcome the opportunity to have funds block granted to them because they know what's best for their state. They know, working with the local superintendents, what is needed. So if the money was block granted with fewer strings, less regulation for those governors, they've indicated how successful they believe they would make their states. Now, I'm the first one to admit some governors are going to do a better job at this than others. Some state superintendents are going to do a better job than others. But look at some of the programs you've already talked about. The Hope Scholarship Program, programs in Oklahoma, some of the programs in other states as well. These are done by innovative governors and innovative superintendents. This is not the Department of Education coming in and say, hey, you ought to try this, you ought to do it. No. It's because these people in these states look at their programs and look at what they need, and they'll allocate that money here. If a grant comes with strings that say you have to spend the money here, and the governor says, man, if I just had that money and I could put it over here, I could have a lot more effect. Or that state superintendent, that chief of education working with the students. I want to give them that opportunity. The president wants to make sure that governors and states have the opportunity to compete with one another, but to service the people in their state the way that they see best.
Well, thank you for that answer. And myself, my children, we use the Hope Scholarship. We've elected for school choice. My kids are in Catholic school, just like Representative Bice here, as her children run as well. But it's not so much about my kids that I want to highlight, but in the southern coal fields of West Virginia, we've had children driving with their parents an hour, hour and a half to just be able to access better educational opportunities and outcomes for their kids. And the thing that drives me crazy is so many people are like, oh, this is a giveaway to the rich so they can send their kids to private school. Newsflash, they're already sending their kids to private school if they're rich. It's not really a determinant factor. This is going to raise a lot of families, to me, out of poverty and give them choice that they would otherwise not have. So please, anything you can do to help us be able to have access to those federal dollars for these school choice programs at the state level would be hugely beneficial. And I yield back.